Family and friends of August Beckwith have been searching for him in the area near the University of Utah. August, is 29, was last seen running down Wakara Way near the U on November 17th. According to family and police, August is vulnerable and in severe mental health crisis. He is nonverbal and autistic.
He took a right into a hiking trail that runs alongside the Marriott Hotel on Wakara Way. That was the last confirmed sighting that we have of him. Immediately following that, we had two sightings. One in the west parking lot of the LDS Resource Center moving westward, and the next one was by the traffic circle right there by the stadium. Those were all within 30 minutes, but there are no cameras there. But that would make sense that two people saw him at that time, which led to a trajectory into the University of Utah. He was a student here back in about 10 years ago now. And he knows the campus. It's familiar to him. And we also have had clusters of other sightings of him on campus, most recently yesterday in a group of buildings that are very interesting to us. I had a dog come out today, had some interest in the Student Union building and around that area. So we are looking there. Another important thing to note about my son is that he's just the kindest, most wonderful. I mean, every mother says that about their son, but honestly, I've never known anyone, sorry, quite as generous. And he used to work full time when he was doing better, much better. He used to work sometimes 12-hour shifts for days on end. And at the end of every shift, he would drive down to the homeless people, strangely, and give them all of his money. He would walk them to the ATM. He'd drive them to the grocery store. He'd give them coats and blankets and anything that he could every single day. And he did that for several years. So we anticipated, he knows where all of the homeless shelters are because he was always there in the middle of it, just helping them out. And we anticipated he would actually be there by now. And so he hasn't been seen.
August was last seen wearing a gray hoodie, a red shirt underneath, black pants, black shoes. He had no coat, phone, or money with him when he ran.
In a parent's worst nightmare, that to have total strangers come up and just volunteer their time to help is tremendous. I think it says so much about where we live in Utah, and also just about the community, but also just about people in general. I've also learned so much about the homeless community and how generous they are with each other. They're almost more generous than we are. They just make sure they take care of one another. And I think that everyone on every level, everywhere we've been, has just been compassionate and tremendous. I will say that sometimes I find myself here by myself, though, because it's hard for people to dedicate so much time. And I would really like to ask and compel people to just take 5 minutes of their life to stand up out of their seat, go out of their home, their own home, and just look around their own yard. That would be so incredibly helpful, because it could be that he's just hiding in someone's yard to stay warm at night and then trying to go out and look for food during the day. And if everyone in the valley stood up and looked around, it may help us solve this immediately. I don't think anyone could describe this, and no one would want to experience this. As a mother, it's your worst nightmare. It truly is. I want, instead of really focusing on how I feel, I'd like to go back to what people could do if we could. And I think another thing that people could do, and I would encourage people to do, is really look at August's photo right now. I will say that, the unshaven photograph that you see, he's a handsome young man. That's not the way he looked when he ran. He had been in the mental hospital for 3 months, and they released him prematurely from Huntsman Mental Health Institute. And he had not yet been stabilized enough to be released at that time. And he had also not been able to shave. So it's the first time he's ever had facial hair. And so his beard and hair is a result of that 3 months of growth. And if people can really look at his face and also memorize what he's wearing, he was wearing it was like a blue-gray hoodie. It has fleece in the hood. He has black sweatpants on and almost like slippers with no socks. And he has a light red t-shirt underneath that hoodie. Those are the most important things to remember.
His family says August is not a danger to others, but if you see him, do not approach him and don't let him out of your sight. But if you do see him, call 911 immediately so August can return home to his family.